Well, greetings, Saints and family and guests. Welcome to another edition of Living Water for a Thirsty Thursday. We've been talking about the suffering. We've been talking about the presence of evil and why would God allow that? And man, it's not an easy subject when we think about illness and we think about hunger and we think about people being poor and think about people having issues with their families or issues in society. And that God actually has to allow all of those things to happen. And why would he? You know, if he has all power, why wouldn't he use some of that power to keep those things from happening to us? If he is so loving, why would he allow hurtful things to happen to us? And, you know, I was just thinking the Bible can answer most questions that we have. And today, I just wanted to look at a passage in 2 Corinthians. And it's 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. And it's Paul talking to the church at Corinth about his experience with God. In the 12th chapter, the 4th verse, he says, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. This is what Paul heard in a vision, if you would, or being caught up in the presence of the Lord. Of such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in my infirmities. I'm trying not to get too prideful in what I was able to see or experience. Verse 6, for though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should forbear, lest any man should think of me above that he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And so it's him, Paul, actually trying to say, I'm trying to stay humble based on what I saw, you know, but obviously that's not easy. You know, humility is not easy to come by. But verse 7 is the kicker. And it says, and lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of who? Satan, evil, the devil, his imps, to buffet me, to beat me, lest I should be exalted above measure. I even asked for this thing, I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And we know, if you've heard that verse before, that God did not allow that issue to go away. And so when I think about why does God allow evil, now that it's here, is it possible that God tries to keep us humble? He said, lest I should be exalted above measure, lest I should get too prideful, lest I should become too arrogant, lest I should become too cocky with my belief. God gave me a reminder to keep me in place. And I wonder if he allowed, way back in Genesis, Satan to come and be in that garden, if not for any other reason, to keep us humble. Man, that's a tough lesson when we think about illness and we think about all the other social issues and political issues that we have and the strife. And then, of course, things that we can't control, natural disasters, you know, earthquakes and typhoons and hurricanes and all of those things that happen now as a result of the fall of man. But I wonder, does it ultimately just keep us dependent on God? Yeah, God has a plan, and that plan is perfect. It may not always feel right. It may not always look right. It may not always taste right. It may not always sound right. But God's will, for sure, it is perfect. Well, prayerfully, this helps a little bit. We'll dig into a little bit more next week as we kind of look at it from an Old Testament perspective, one that I'm sure you are familiar with, just like you're probably familiar with this one. But yeah, the problem of evil, there is a solution, and it is God himself. Continue to make God proud in all you say, think, and do.